Starting to recording. Yep.
All right. Okay. Very good. Good evening. So we're going to continue the discussions which we had before. So I have few slides to expand our conversation we had about some of the impact of crypto and specifically how it is going to change or how it will try to work with or either uh, at the minimum disrupt at the outset the maximum impact could be like totally a new type of financial system that will evolve out of it. So we can see some of the slides about the evolution, and then we can dive deep into look at the specific wallets. If you have questions answers, like we can continue on that. Okay. All right. So this is one slide I would like to you know bring it in the first place. Like some of that sometimes like there is a saying that you look at the trees, you don't see the forest, right? Like so, the impact of crypto is not just buying some coins, right? Bitcoin or anything else, all coins. There is a lot of domains it's going to affect, and that ranges from finance, fintech to government, technology mostly. The amount of disruption it's going to do in technology is unbelievable. Like it's if not anything, whether the Bitcoin has any value or not, if you look at how it has changed the computing logic, like bringing the trust and reliability of a transaction between peers without a third party. That for that alone, crypto deserves a big credit. Okay, so if you look at some of the serious things, like big industry changer, game changers, like e-commerce is one of the big places where you will see a lot of change because of crypto. I mean, we can't, you won't, 1 hour won't be enough to talk about all the monetary policies that's going to be disrupted. There are, I think, about 200 plus currencies worldwide, but Bitcoin is the first one, which is like totally on-chain, traceable. There is a slide I'm going to show, like what are the unique features of crypto that makes it standalone and why it's stable in terms of a digital currency, even though the use case is far beyond digital currency, right? Okay, so these are some of the high level. I mean, we don't have to go in detail, but it gives an idea how vast the impact is going to be. So this is another interesting slide. Apparently, last year, 2020, is not just remembered for COVID. It's the astronomical growth of Bitcoin price. You can see the correlation between number of cases, daily cases versus Bitcoin. Like I don't know if there is any relevance, if there is any connection, but apparently it has made a big difference. Big difference. 2020 has made a big difference in the 13, 14 years of Bitcoin's evolution. Anybody know S-curve? Have you heard of S-curve? No?
Yeah. So
Yeah, right.
yeah, it is somewhat similar to the Gartner's illusionment, right? So they have a similar curve as well for a life cycle when it takes off.
For life cycle, right? Product life, yeah, it's usually for product life cycle, right? Yeah, so, yeah. I think it's Gartner probably who use it for as an analytics. So every product life cycle company, services business, all of them, they put a graph for their adoption in terms of an S curve. So obviously, this is the early stage where the foundation stage or discovery stage in the beginning. That's almost flat, the bottom part of the S, and then it takes off. I mean, this graph is kind of like length, and so it's not really looking like a S, but this is almost like a steep climb from 10%, 15% to 90% growth market adoption, and then the steady state, right? So if you look at this is the S curve for Bitcoin, we are only at 10 or 15% of adoption stage, right? So it's not even in the beginning. We are in the early stage. So we have about what 70, 75 percent of applications, use cases coming in the future. So most of the growth is going to happen starting from now. So it doesn't matter what the cost of the price of the Bitcoin right now. The adoption is going to happen right now. We're going to see rapid changes in terms of the use cases, applications, what they call the DApps, decentralized applications. So that's happening in the next
So how old
couple
is
of
this
years.
curve? It says 2019. Is it a 2 year old curve or?
2029 is the 90%
No, no, no.
adoption.
Like
So
it says 2019 in the middle, right? So like how?
2009. Oh, yeah, 2019, yes.
So I'm thinking like Bitcoin is here. When it says here, it means 2019, not 21, right?
Oh, here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think so. 20, no, I mean, don't look at the, yeah, 2019 is 10%. So 15% is a little bit more, maybe 20 or 21. You can even consider 21. But nevertheless, like, the bulk of the growth is happening now. It's going to happen now. We're not even in the kindergarten yet. Okay, this is off the chain capital. There's some reference here. So there is more to come for the Bitcoin market. Okay, this is the SWOT chart: strength, weakness, and opportunities and threats. So if you look at the strength, decentralized, distributed, immutable, it's not. It can be data can be changed. Gaining adoption, middleman removal. So all of them are the value add for use case, and a whole bunch of weakness and threats are also important. You know, it's not specific to a particular crypto, but there are challenges. But what's beyond
So okay,
proven?
I think this is very interesting slide. I like it. So
Yeah,
it says that one of the threats to Bitcoin is that quantum computing. Actually,
yeah.
quantum computing is a threat for the whole cybersecurity business
Ah,
because quantum computers can theoretically crack encryption. So they can make all our current encryption technology obsolete.
mhm. Right.
So that is what they are forecasting, that we are doing a lot of encryption for confidentiality, and even cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are using encryption. So I think that is why listed as, so basically quantum computers can break encryption. If it breaks encryption, then whole Bitcoin model has to be reinvented.
Reinvented, exactly. So there will be a new coin based on that protocol. So protocol, the hashing protocol will change. So they will have to rewrite the whole framework
Yeah, they have to
to
upgrade it.
adapt.
I think I know this is I never thought of quantum computing as a threat for Bitcoin. This is good.
Right, right. Decentralized is the benefit. So
Right, right.
actually,
Government, see,
that's
government regulation is another possibility. Like Turkey, already they banned it, right?
yeah.
So,
No, Turkey is banded. Like I have another slide later. We'll talk about it. Like no, you can't. Uh, the application of Bitcoin is everywhere. So country can ban it in terms of caching the Bitcoin, but they cannot ban the usage of Bitcoin, because like they can only ban the apps or wallets, but they cannot control people who are using hardware wallet, storing things in their local computers and all that, right? So that's where the uh, crypto is getting the bad rap. Like, it is being used by for illegal money laundering and all that stuff. But that is also the feature of the Bitcoin or any crypto. It doesn't care who is using it, right? The transfer of currency can happen.
So I had one question on the whole the quantum computing thing, that risk. So you said that if the encryption algorithm that's used specifically to hash a block, if
Right.
that gets like breakable due to the advancement in quantum computing, you said that then maybe a fork could use a different algorithm. But then what happens to the existing blocks though? I mean, how can it still preserve the integrity of the existing block and the value embedded in that chain if you have to
Yeah.
Right.
rewrite
So
that
yeah, that that is
like
that is
hashing?
why it is listed under a threat or a risk, right? So
Right.
currently quantum computers are not able to break encryption at that level what Bitcoin is using. But in future, if you have a computer which can break the encryption, then the whole logic fails, right?
Yeah, but I think that's where like Muthu was saying that it's possible that then they will rewrite the algorithm in the future.
Yeah.
Right. So how can that happen though? Because isn't that logic kind of built into the whole blockchain that's all distributed for like I'm talking like just about the BTC, for example. So how will that change? How could that algorithm change if a risk comes along with that algorithm?
That's the versioning part of it, right? Like Bitcoin is not like based on one code base. Like it is available in GitHub. It's not based. It's not a constant. I mean, they have been changing it over a period of time. Like anybody can go and suggest a feature,
Yeah.
just like open source programming, right? So anybody can suggest a feature that they can upgrade the code and make a new version of it. So it's constantly evolving. Using the DevOps concept.
Yeah.
So if you use that idea, Bitcoin can develop. And the alternate scenario is like, at some point, the Bitcoin user community can say that, we cannot beat quantum computing environment. So we are going to transfer Bitcoins to some other currency which can handle. So something else will ground up, will develop using quantum computing environment, and then there will be like a 1-to-1 or like 50,
And
whatever transfer rate.
that would require 51% of the nodes to agree to that change, though, right? To commit that,
Yes,
like the merge
yes,
request.
yes.
Yeah, and I really like this slide because see, one of the other risks is like what happens if Coinbase gets hacked, right? Coin,
Right.
yeah, Coinbase or some major exchange gets hacked, and all the Bitcoins are stolen.
Mm-hmm.
So that
It has happened.
yeah, it has happened, but
Just,
probably at that time not many people were using it, right? So now we have a lot of people using it, and
no, not for Bitcoin. For another different coin. Like there is a exchange called the KuCoin, KU
yeah,
coin.
right.
So one of the coin, I forgot which one. Like it was hacked and everybody lost. But apparently they had some kind of
So
insurance. So,
I am in cybersecurity, right? I know it's extremely difficult to secure everything 100%.
right.
Hey, I have a question for security. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Paula. Go ahead.
Hey, I read somewhere in crypto, you have this private key, public key, and that's what is determining who you are and how much you own, whatever crypto you own. And there is no multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
It is just a user code, password, or private key, public key, and that's it.
Yes.
So why can't crypto in this day and age everybody is using all kinds of multi-factor authentication techniques? User code password is the oldest security technique, is it not?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Private key, public key is not user ID password.
Okay, what is the difference?
Yeah, I have a slide. I'll explain a little bit. There is a little bit more context to it. It's not just private key, public key. Private key is actually is what yours, right? That's your wallet address that has the information of how much value in it, right? Whether you have 10 bitcoins or 100 bitcoins, whatever, right? So that is verifiable. But to if you want to transfer somebody some of it, then you send a public key, right? And it is a one-way traffic. Like once a public key created, like you can verify private key. At that point, you can verify private key and public key combination and confirm your ledger. But it cannot be your. You cannot trace your private key based on if you only have the public key. So you need both.
That's true, but some people are equating public key to be like a user code and private key to be like a password.
Oh no! It's not like that.
It's not like that.
Yeah, it's not like that. Only one person has both, and you don't need the two keys.
Yeah, it is by the name, right? So private key only you have, and public key you distribute so that they can communicate with you. That is a general concept. It is not just in blockchain, but a
Yeah.
general concept of public key.
Same thing like email. Your email address is public. Your password to your email server is your password. So everybody knows your email address to send you email, but they cannot read your emails that you get because they don't know your password.
So that is a sort of that is sort of a loose comparison, but not 100%, but it is a good enough comparison. But you are absolutely right? So in case somebody loses their private key, they might lose all their wealth.
Yes.
Yeah, because I read a report recently in the Dogecoin.
Yeah.
They were saying apparently 10,000 blocks per day can be mined unlimited, but they are saying it is going to be limited because at least 10,000 will be lost because people forget their user code, private key, public key. It will be lost. So the loss will be equal to the everyday gain. So the overall will not go up. This is what they are actually saying.
It depends whether the loss goes back to the pool or not. Because
no, it does not. It does not. From what I understand, the losses cannot go back to the pool. The losses are lost forever.
Right. Exactly. That's what is the case.
I think out of the 21 million bitcoins, there may be a lot of bitcoins which are actually lost.
Yes.
Yeah. And they cannot be recovered either.
Right.
It cannot be recovered. Yes. Yeah, that validates the concept of decentralization of the money and authentication and all that security for that transfer. So yeah, I'll show in one of the slides. Like all these slides are disconnected, right? It's all independent information, so you can we can review that. Talk more about that private key security. Anything else interesting here? Opportunities. They call it Web 3.0, third generation crypto. So the new coins keeps coming. Like Doge is one example, right? Like a meme coin. So like that, there is going to be a lot of new ones keep coming. Will everyone get the adoption rate? We never know. But if you get the adoption rate, then there is potential to profit.
No, one thing I want to ask you about the potential for profit. The potential for profit is simply appreciation of the value of the crypto, or there is other ways to make money off the crypto?
Appreciation. I mean, it is going to become an asset class of its own. So you would be able to trade, like for example, the recent news, right? Elon Musk says like, no, we are going to stop accepting Bitcoin for buying Tesla. So at some point he said like, yeah, you can buy Tesla with the Bitcoin. So You got Bitcoin in 2010 or 2011, something like that. It costed only 10 cents. Now you can buy one Tesla with that Bitcoin, right? 10 cents, give or take. So if you look at it, the value is one thing, but what you can do with that if you have that asset, right? How the products are going to be valued based on which coin you're going to trade. So that's where the benefit is going to come.
No, but
So
that
different.
doesn't matter, right? So you don't have to buy Tesla. You can just sell it and use the money to buy Tesla, right? It is the same.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think, Bala, to answer your question, I believe some exchanges like Gemini and all that, they also give you interest for keeping your Bitcoin with them, right? That is another. Bala was asking,
How do they make money to give you interest?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's called staking. I don't have a slide for it. Actually, we can talk about it some other time, another time. Staking is another interesting
So,
concept.
sorry to interrupt. Isn't it also a demand and supply? You can only mine so many bitcoins.
Yeah, Bitcoin has 21 million limit. So we are almost there. I think.
See, the demand and supply point increases. It's like gold, right?
Yes.
Gold is an asset that doesn't make generate any other money. The only way to make money of buying gold is if the value of the gold appreciates.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't appreciate, you cannot make money out of buying gold. If it depreciates, you lose money, and it has no inherent creation of dividends or interest. It cannot do. So I believe these guys, when you put Bitcoin with Gemini or whoever, they give you interest only by they are using the Bitcoin as a collateral and they are borrowing money against it, and then they are lending it to somebody else at a higher interest rate. They are acting like a bank.
No, that's not necessarily. I mean, they might be acting as a bank, but you won't get a lot of returns on that. Like, no, you're not going to get more income. We cannot charge clients for borrowers. There's another concept called staking. Staking is essentially you can mine more Bitcoin by creating a pool of Bitcoin. Like, this is Bitcoin. I mean, I don't want to go to the details of it. Like, I am also not. It takes a lot of time to go really technical into that how staking is done. But bottom line is staking is basically you need a minimum of $70,000 worth of Bitcoin, and use that as a resource to generate additional Bitcoin. So that case, people who cannot put in $70,000 worth of money, they go with the public pool. So all these places where they give you a return for depositing your Bitcoin is basically collecting that and putting it in a bigger pool so that they can generate more Bitcoins, right? So when you are generating returns in Bitcoins, obviously you are able to give 8%, 10%, whatever higher percentage compared to. So it cannot be compared to the regular bank type of lending, but the idea is through staking. So it is. So that's the idea of this digital money, right? It's automatic. It's all program based, computerized. So there is no physical person involved in doing all these things. So you are assigning something, like we were saying, like, I'm putting $10,000 in this account, and automatically there is a program that consolidates all the customers' account and buys Bitcoin in the exchange and increase it through another staking server. So it's a very interesting concept. Like, I mean, the reason why it is there is good returns is through the programs, but that's a whole idea of using a digital currency.
Okay.
What else? Capital. So taxes is
Days back,
something.
few days back, we had a discussion on the how some of the exchanges are able to offer the interest. And I think the one thing that I saw, at least at the time, was they're also using the Bitcoin. So these exchanges, the one that do offer the interest, they're
Yeah.
able to use. I mean, they're doing what the typical, like the banks do, basically, that they will take the deposit and they will give you some interest, but they will charge the higher interest like when they loan that to. So they're
Right.
like loaning to either like the hedge funds, for example, that are doing like the short-term loans from like these type of the exchanges. So that model is kind of like that
Right.
like playing with that
Yeah.
difference in the lending and like the actual deposit rates.
Right. That is another revenue generation option for custodians, right? If you are using a custodian wallet. But again, that's what I was explaining. Like that alone is not enough to give this outrageous. I'm not outrageous. Like more than normal returns. So for that, what they're doing is this option called staking, where they can increase their reserve of Bitcoin or any crypto which they're using. I mean, the returns are not only in Bitcoin; they're also using other USST, other coins, altcoins also available.
But the Bitcoin is not like based on the proof of stake. So does it mean that they don't offer any interest on like Bitcoin?
They
Or is
do.
that because that's why like is lower because they can't do the staking in that?
Yeah, for Bitcoin staking, it takes. See, it all depends on how easy to generate additional coins, right? So what they call mining. So it all depends on the mining process, and there is other mining fees and all that is there. So based on that, complex calculations, like they decide what the percentage is. So it's very easy for them to mine the coins like USDC, whereas Bitcoin, because it is ending its supply, it takes more time to mine and the costs are more. That's one of the stickler for Elon Musk recently. He was not happy that there's more electricity consumed.
Now, you talk about staking.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. For these cryptos, there is two things. One is the mining and the other is staking, right?
Yes.
Now, are they like either or? Either a particular crypto is either a mining kind of crypto or another crypto is a staking kind of crypto, or the same crypto can have both?
No, the output is same. Whether it is mined or staked, it doesn't matter. I mean, staking is the step for mining. So it is done differently. That's all. Like mining is the lowest denominator of creating new crypto.
But mining is also some sort of a responsibility, right? You have to verify transactions that happen.
Yes, verify the transaction in the ledger. Yeah.
And the staking is also the same. You have to verify the transactions.
No, staking is also verifying the transaction, but staking happens with a bigger pool, whereas mining probably is one transaction at a time. Whereas in the case of staking, they have a bigger pool to drive the mining process.
All right.
It's like a superset. Okay, so yeah, let's get into some of the wallets where we store the currency. Actually, you know what? Yeah, it's fine. This is the description of how you store Bitcoin, and then I'll next slide I have the other generic details of what Bitcoin is. So wallets are essentially the theoretical or software component of holding your money. There are different types, obviously. The easiest one is the web base, right? Web base is it's also called custodian. Easy example is Coinbase. Coinbase is very popular. What else? Gemini.
Why is it not recommended?
Because you are giving the custody of your asset to somebody else. Nari was explaining, bringing up the topic of what if somebody hacks and you lose all the coin, right? It's like that. It's instead of having money in our own home in a store, instead of protected storage, like we are putting it in the bank. Like what if the bank gets? I mean, the bank has FDIC insurance and all that, but still, if it is in some other place, like where you don't have insurance, then you lose your assets. So that's the idea of.
But isn't it not true? Like, for example, if you hold your crypto assets at Coinbase, for example, Coinbase is like a TD Ameritrade account or something.
Yeah.
Then it has certain value, it produces reports. If there are any regulations and tax reports or
Right.
lines and everything, they can give you.
Right.
And then if something happens to you, you can put it in your estate and your inheritance, whoever inherits will be able to inherit the Coinbase account.
Right.
There will be a lot more legal ways to deal with it.
Right.
So I would think that a custodian is a good thing, except that the custodian himself could go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Like a bank could fail. You could put money in Wells Fargo Bank, the bank would go bust and you lose the money.
Lose the money, yes. Yeah, that's the trade-off, right? That's the trade-off. Like I mean, we are comparing different type of customers. Like obviously, the whole concept of crypto is programmers, all nerds who started this whole entire digital currency idea, right? So all these guys, they know exactly how to maintain it in their home, in their computer, in the most secured way. So that's why they don't recommend the web-based option. But for somebody who's new to crypto, like who just want to get started, get feet wet, the web-based is the easiest way to do it. And it has
Muthu, I just want to understand, right? So let us say that we are dealing with Coinbase, one account, and the second person is dealing with, say, Binance or Gemini, where they get interest, right? So they get like 5-6% interest. So what is the difference? So who has the private key in all these scenarios?
In both cases, the private key, public key, everything is held by Coinbase. All you need is a user ID, password, or some sort of an authentication to log into your account.
So that means you are giving your key to Coinbase, right?
Correct.
But you just said never recommended. What does that mean?
Never recommended. That is the same reason for why you said, like Coinbase can be hacked and all the.
I know, but millions of people are using Coinbase, and you are saying it is never recommended, right? That doesn't gel.
Yeah, it was never recommended. See, the idea of using digital currency is like individuals have the ownership. Right? It's not then you are doing it like a bank. I mean, fiat currency. Like instead of using the money, instead of keeping the money at home, we are going and putting it in the bank. Like that is what we are used to. So that is not. That is how the web-based wallets are working, and that's not recommended for using the digital currency. Okay, so there is a saying called not your keys, not your coin, something like that, right? Something in that context. So you have to have the key. If you don't have the key, then you cannot say it's your coin.
Lose your coin, yeah.
Lose your coin, something like that. Not your key. Yeah, it's a very provocative statement that you cannot give your asset to somebody. You cannot give your key to somebody else to take care of it as a custodian. But custodian is the easiest way to do.
Doing, right? So
yeah.
So that is
Not
the
all of
best
them.
practice. So
Yeah, that's
yeah, so I think the scenario is Coinbase goes bankrupt, or some bad guy, some insider threat, right? Suppose if a Coinbase has an employee who is corrupt,
right.
he can
Right.
steal your private keys and go to Bahamas,
Yeah.
and no, we can't trace him.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So you think of it like an application where you are interacting with an application, right? Like, you can look at the user interface, you can use user ID, password, and then log in and enter data and all that stuff. And you think that,
Yeah.
that's all the
So,
application has. But
from
if you
that
log,
point of view, would you say, I'm just thinking aloud here, because there are
Mhm.
so many exchanges, instead of keeping all your cryptocurrencies in a single exchange, is it better to spread it around to reduce the risk in case something bad
Yes,
happens to one exchange?
yes, that's a good idea. Yeah, definitely. You can spread it around, and managing them is, we got to take care of it. But yeah, that's the easiest.
But there is a flip side to that also, because I was reading about this Osprey fund, this Osprey Bitcoin Trust.
Yeah.
They don't actually hold Bitcoin themselves. They use Coinbase as the custodian to hold this Bitcoin. They run a trust and they charge 2% a year fee for them to hold your Bitcoin. And I don't know what value they provide, but I'm just saying, not every trust where you put your Bitcoin is actually the custodian of the Bitcoin.
Yeah. No.
Correct.
Yeah. That is a good
Correct.
point.
Correct.
So that is a good point. I think the Osprey fund, the only value they provide is you don't need like a cryptocurrency account. You can just go to TD Ameritrade and buy it. That is only
Yeah.
advantage.
Yes.
Yeah. GBDC, all those are the other layers, right? It's all different layer of looking at the data, and where you are comfortable to interact with the data. And now the more popular ones are on the desktop mobile, right? Like mobile devices, you can download the app and you can Coinbase as an app. You can use it in your phone. Believe it or not, like there are paper wallets in the set. Paper, it's
Yeah,
not
see,
wallet,
that is
but
what I was reading. I don't know how it will work, right? You can engrave it and all those things, but it
yeah,
has to be
yeah.
electronic for you to trade, right?
No, no. I mean, engrave it, but to trade, you have to use it in the account in
Yeah,
a
you have to store it in the computer
website or
also.
yeah. Maybe you have to look at it and enter it. I will show you. There is another slide. I'll show you, like how the private key can be translated very easily. There is a hashing mechanism which makes it like a simple sentences. When they say engrave, they're engraving the English words, normal English words instead of the
So
hash.
how long is the private key?
Oh, that's 256, I think. 256 characters, I guess.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
you still need to use the exchange, by the way, anytime you need to have the fiat
yeah,
conversion to crypto,
correct.
right?
Correct.
But once you have acquired them into your exchange, then you can immediately move them to, or you can transfer them to your private like wallet at that point, right? And this way,
Right.
then you don't have risk.
So when it is in your wallet, it can be a crypto.
Yeah. So like what I'm saying is that instead of keeping it in your wallet, which is kind of like with a custodian,
Mm-hmm.
since when you're buying from the fiat, you have like no option but to like use that, right? I'm guessing. But then once you have it in the custodian in your account in the like the Coinbase, for example, then you can pay to your private wallet that's on your PC, for example, or like the phone. And
Right.
this way, then
Yeah, you
you
can
can
transfer
transfer.
it to your, yes.
Yeah.
So the PC one will have its own wallet address. Like all you are going to do is from your custodian account, you're going to say send whatever number of Bitcoin to this address, which is in your desktop, and everything is transferred over here from your custodian. So from that point onwards, everything is in your desktop.
So is there a Bitcoin website where once you have your Bitcoin private key or public key with you,
Yeah.
and you want to transfer it to somebody else, how do you do that? You have to
Send. Yeah. So based on how much you are sending, a new address will be created. So you just have to copy that address into to the sender. So it automatically transfer it to the address. I'll show you. There is another slide which
okay.
shares that more details. And the most secure one is the hardware wallet. Hardware wallet is the small USB style wallets, USB, Bluetooth, NFC. Okay, that's probably the best secured and easy to carry, easy to protect, and all that stuff. Okay.
Like you hear like the stories like there's this one guy who has like one password left on his like
Yeah.
the private drive, and there are
Right.
like millions worth of bitcoins in there.
It's exactly what I was going to say. The next, how did people lose all their Bitcoin? So the private key looks like this, right? Really complicated, long string of unrelated alphanumeric letters. So you can't remember that. But there is a hashing mechanism converts this key into this 24 words. So it's not only the words, it's also the sequence. So it has to be in the exact sequence to translate into this, right? So you have to remember this word. This is what, when I was mentioning writing it in a paper or engraving, this is what they do. Like, write it in a separate piece of paper so that you remember this. And keep this private. So this is all your wallet. This list of 24 names is your entire list of entire worth of asset. If you think of it like that is the paradigm shift of understanding Bitcoin or any crypto compared to the fiat, right? Like, in fiat, like, you can count the currency, you can smell the currency, or you can, carry it in a suitcase, bag, or a sack under the pillow, put it in the bank, take it off the bank, and, all that stuff. But here, you don't see anything else except this 24 words, and which is even in its code form, it's this long private key. That's it. That's all Bitcoin is.
How do those Muthu, like how do those words translate into that key?
Oh, see, that's the hashing mechanism. That's a conversion protocol. There is a logic that converts. Okay, this is the hash. So this hash means what? Like, so then the program runs and converts that hash. That this means like 10 bitcoins or 15 bitcoins or whatever, right? That there is a protocol for Bitcoin programming. And that same with every node, like every one, whether they receive it, and this is done automatically. Nobody is actually running the program. The programs are running automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And when I send something to you, 1 Bitcoin to you, I enter these words to, where's my, yeah, I enter these words to authenticate that I'm sending 5. Okay, but at that time there will be a public key created with a different string, and that goes to you, and checks. And when I say you, like, your wallet,
Right.
program node, that checks and translates it to 5 and then updates your ledger. So it's like you don't get anything, but the transactions in the blockchains are updated. I transferred 5 to you. That's it.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's just a verification process. Like, that verification process happens seamlessly without any human intervention and automatic and all that stuff. So that's
Okay. Thanks.
So Muthu, let us talk about the ledger, right? Can you explain how the ledger works? Like, so it is a public ledger. Anybody can see the transactions. For example, if Colonial paid ransom to the Russian hacker in bitcoins, that will appear in the ledger, right?
That will appear in the ledger, but it will appear only as an address. Like it won't appear as like who wants that.
Right. So the sender
Right.
and receiver are anonymous, but the
Anonymous.
transaction will appear and the amount will appear,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Amount will appear. Yes.
So it is a public sort of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so the like so sender and thing, do they have a particular code, or how does it show in the ledger?
Yeah, that is the key, right? Now the private key and public key combination.
So
So sender has
their public key is shown or no?
public key is shown. Yeah, public key is something similar to this in the sense like it will be like a string like this. So the public key will be shown, and then the whoever is receiving it, like they will be able to hash it and add it to the ledger.
So even though we are saying that Bitcoin is totally anonymous, the actual payment is like
Yeah, the transactions are visible,
correct.
but nobody knows who's doing the
No,
transaction,
but
right? So
is the, let us say, the sender ID, right? Whatever is shown in the ledger,
Mhm.
does it say stay constant? Suppose if I get $100 from you and $100 from Bala, will
Mhm.
it show for me the same number or different numbers?
Different number, different. The hash will be different, even though it's the same 100. The hash will be different for the each transaction. I mean, that is how it identifies as two different transactions. The ledger entry,
No,
it
no,
will
no.
be in a different blockchain to start
So,
with.
see, I'm talking about the person, right? So the person receives two payments from two different people.
Mhm.
And what I read was that people can figure out that the same person received two payments from different people.
Yeah, same address as receive two different payments. Yes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So if somebody pays ransom to some bad guys, then you can track who all. I mean, how many payments have been made? Not who all, but how many payments have been made to that
Right, right. I
person.
mean, if you want to see how many 5 millions transferred, then you can see it, but you won't know where's the source and where's the destination.
Okay.
Hey, there is another terminology that I'm seeing, which is something like total hash per hour or something like that. Bitcoin has some 3 million hash per hour, whereas
Hash,
some they call it like whatever THR per hour or
total
THR
hash rate. Yeah.
hash rate, THR per hour or something like that. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, that is something to do with the amount of mining. So they, based on THR, they decide whether new coins are generated or not. Like people decide the velocity of new coins coming into the market, or somebody is purchasing it, or somebody is taking possession, mining, either mining or buying it in the exchange. So that is the THR is the metric. So people monitor that to decide whether the prices will go up or go down. The value goes up, go down. It's kind of a little bit complex way of figuring
Yeah,
out
but
the demand.
yeah, I was tracking it recently. The THR rate for Bitcoin is like an order of magnitude 1,000 times higher than Ethereum.
Yeah.
But Ethereum is also increasing in value. So
Yeah, yeah. So as we end near the supply, the 21 million, there is a lot of demand increasing for Bitcoin, and not only that, the scarcity is also going to increase the value. Once it's just like gold, right? Like now if there is no gold, new gold available, or very few amount of supply, low amount of supply, then the value of gold is obviously is going to increase. So the mining stops the value increases, right? So that's the same logic. Once all 21 million done, then people are expecting it to go to 100,000 in value. So this is the slide, Bala. Like this is more like your answer for you're asking earlier. Bitcoin are entirely virtual. There are no physical coins or even digital coins per se. The ownership of any specific Bitcoin is implied via a complete time history of every transaction of the Bitcoin. So it's essentially a ledger going through the transaction and verifying the transaction. So it's all about that verification and keeping that ledger up to date. It's not a surprise. People have a hard time to understand how this works. That's a big.
Actually, I have a hard time understanding how they are tracking fractions of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
How do they do
That's
that?
actually the biggest feature when it came from the beginning. Like the compared to the fiat currency, Bitcoin you can send the fractions very minimum of Bitcoin fractions you can transfer exchange between one person to another, right? So that was a feature for this currency.
What I read is each Bitcoin can be divided into 100 million Satoshis.
Yeah. I mean,
So
Satoshi is the unit.
one of a million Bitcoin is possible to be transferred.
Right. Yep. Going back
They
to the
might
previous.
at some stage they might do a reverse split. Instead of 21 million Bitcoin, they might start calling Satoshis as well.
Yeah, you have to get the approval of the entire community. Like there is a big Bitcoin community, right? Like that's why they actually wanted to increase from 21 million to somewhat more. Like now that it is gaining momentum, gaining
Right.
popularity, let's get it more. But actually there is something called halving. Every 4 years, they reduce the amount of the hash rate. I think is slows down into half of it. So that means like it's going to take double the time to make the same amount.
That is why it is taking a lot of electricity.
Yeah, a lot of electricity, not compared to other currencies or even other resources. So these are the 5 major features of the Bitcoin. It's open. Everybody or anybody can access the network as a software network protocol. So you don't need a special permission. You don't need to walk through a metal detector and all that stuff. Second is public. Everything you do is verifiable on the network by everyone else. So there is absolutely no option or no way to cheat. Borderless, like this is one of the double-edged sword feature, right? Like it's good and it is also not good for in some cases. It doesn't matter where you are, where you travel to, Bitcoin is already there. So this is the number 3 is the reason, one of the reason why countries or governments cannot really ban Bitcoin. They can say that I'm banning, but it's not physically possible to ban. Number 4 is neutral. The system of money does not care who the sender is or recipient is, and the purpose. So that's also double-edged sword. Censorship resistance. So anybody can get that money, right? Like there is no hierarchy or social status or influence or influence. So these are the 5
So,
specific features.
couple of questions, right? So, one is tax, right? So,
Yeah.
the IRS, how do they, like bank and all those things, they have to send 1099 everything
Mm-hmm.
to the government, right? So, to
Yeah.
IRS. Now, if you're not using an exchange and if you are keeping your own private key with with your own computer,
hardware wallet. Yeah,
how will they know?
they won't know.
So obviously they don't. I mean,
That's
they.
why
So,
that's why government doesn't like it.
so doesn't these bankers like Gemini or Coinbase, don't they have any
Yeah, yeah.
obligation to
They
report?
They
if you're
do.
using them, yes, they will track and they will inform IRS. They will give you 1099 int and
Right.
1099B, and they will advise IRS. But if you have your own computer and you keep all your wallets and private key and everything yourself,
Okay, yeah. Then it's not
so
private.
then
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it is like burying gold under in the garden or whatever, right? And
See, for you to hold that in your mobile, is there a mobile app for that from Bitcoin?
the key is
Huh?
for the key.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean every wallet has a mobile version. Where is this? Yeah. So every one of those web wallet will have either they already have or they will come up with a mobile version. So it's going to be linked. One and two are pretty much connected.
No. I'm saying, yeah, you don't go through Coinbase. Let us say
Oh,
that you purchased some bitcoins either through any exchanges, and then
right.
you now hold you downloaded the private key and it's with you only. You
Okay.
own it, and
Yeah.
how do you transfer it to somebody else? Is there an app, or how do you have to go through an exchange to transfer, or if somebody accepts Bitcoin, how do you give them?
Oh, for that you have to use an exchange. Yes.
Oh, so
Yeah.
any transaction you have to go through an exchange only.
Exchange
no,
only.
I'm
So
not sure whether that is correct, right? Because how do the hackers don't use exchange?
Yeah, if the hacker uses exchange, you can use the exchange to go find them.
Yeah,
I mean, you see, exchange is essentially a program that transfers the data from one end to another end, right? Like, so hackers can. That's the example I was giving earlier. Like, you can log into the front end URL user interface of an application, or you can connect to the database directly by bypassing all the security in the front end, right? So the hackers would probably connect to the low level in the network to hack. So they don't need to worry about the exchange. They don't need a fancy interface to log in. I mean, the worst case, they can create their own protocol to update. I mean, that is a fear of using coming with the quantum computers, right? Like, they can unhash and either hackers can hire, I think AWS or somebody. Yeah, I think AWS has a quantum computer on the web as a service. So you can use all those things and develop your own algorithm to hack easily. Okay, see, this is some of the examples. And before coming here, I think, let me check if anything else. Okay, that's it. All right, so these are some of the examples of wallets. Trezor is one of the very popular one, like secure hardware wallet. It looks like something like this. Yeah, something like this. It's just a small key fob. This is another one, good one, old card. I know when to sleep at night, so nobody can hack it. And these are some of the web-based or like Coinbase. Gemini. Gemini, you know the story of Gemini, right? Like Winklevoss brothers, twins. The guys who originally came up with the idea of Facebook in Harvard. They couldn't make money in Facebook, so they created Bitcoin and Bitcoin custodian service, and they were very close to launch their own ETF, but for some reason the SEC was not approving it. So they're still working on it. They might come up with it. Crypto.com is another one. Like, the crypto.com has some fancy options. Like, you can deposit fiat and convert it to USDC or something. Like, they have their own coins, crypto coins or something like that. But to compensate, what they are doing is like, they're giving incentives like free Netflix subscription, free Amazon Prime subscription. So they're coming up their own innovative way of gaining customers or attracting or making the adoption much more fancy. BlockFi is one I use. BlockFi, I like BlockFi because they are not only custodian, but they are also staking and increasing the giving a return on your 8.6% APY. This is for lending. For borrowing, for depositing, they have somewhere. You can find all this information somewhere here. I think yeah. For BTC, 5% back. USDC, 8.6%. In fact, right now, I think there is a promotion that 10%. So currency, USDC is dollar to, it's a dollar to dollar equal, right? Like, so $1 equal to 1 USDC. So if you can have $100 in the bank, or you can put $100 in USDC in BlockFi to get 8.6% return. So this is even better. USDT is 9.3%. So,
but that is after their commissions, right?
they have commission, I think, but it's not that much. Like,
Yeah, like now, like even if you put money into DAI, like they are charging a commission.
No, I don't think for deposits there is no commission. Only if there is for trading there is a commission. In the sense, like, you put money in and you buy USDT, then you pay commission one time, right? But that is only one time. But this is APY 9.3% you get every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and in the case of USDT, there is no difference. But in terms of BTC, like, think about it, like, you put it, like, even if it is 1%, 2% commission, one time you pay, your BTC account goes down 2-3%, but you get a 5% every year. On top of that is one income, and then your value of BTC increases. So you are making money two places with the same investment. Right, so that's why these guys are the one, like, they're also lending, but I don't know exactly how the money is made to pay back. Maybe they're using crypto back loans. They lend it back to us with when we have crypto with them. So 50% of crypto value they pay us back. They allow us to take cash with the 9.75 interest. So if you look at it, 9.75% interest, and then they give us 5% in BTC, right? So it's 4%, 4.75% pay pocket as their.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is probably straightforward, but there are companies which are using staking, and the good thing with the BlockFi is they also have something similar to FDIC insurance. They have a similar insurance program that protects. So for a small deposits, it's not a big deal. Like, it allows, it helps to try BlockFi to get the experience of crypto. And this BitPay is interesting. BitPay is a Visa card. You deposit Bitcoin, but you can use it wherever as a Visa card. I don't know why anybody want to do it. Nobody want to spend the Bitcoin right now, but it's just another fancy new application that's sitting on top of Bitcoin infrastructure. And there are more cards like this are going to come. They're going to find innovative ways of using it. I think earlier it used to be just Bitcoin. Now they're using Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and all that stuff. Exactly, a whole bunch of coins. This is a good portal called CoinGecko. CoinGecko gives the latest price tracking last 7 days, volume, market cap, and all that stuff. I mean, look at Bitcoin, like it's almost $1 trillion market cap. So you can pretty much see a big picture view of all the coins and read the latest news. There are 7,224 coins. All right, so I'll stop here. I think pretty much I have covered all the slides. Yes, there's nothing more. Any questions other than what we went through?
No, this is great. Thank you very much, Muthu.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Muthu.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.